There comes a time in life when you have to stop looking outward for validation, for answers, for shortcuts, and start looking inward. Because everything you're searching for out there, strength, clarity, confidence, peace, it all begins with one decision to invest in yourself, not just with money. I'm talking about time, energy, focus, discipline. You are your greatest investment, and the moment you treat yourself like you matter, your life will start to change. The truth is, most people are running on empty, giving everything they've got to everyone else. Their jobs, their relationships, their followers. But when was the last time you sat with yourself in the mirror and said, what do I need? What do I want to build? You cannot pour from a cup that's dry. And the only person responsible for filling that cup is you. You've got gifts. You've got untapped potential. But potential means nothing if it's not developed. Talent isn't enough. Ambition without direction burns out. And that's where self-investment comes in. You've got to sharpen your mind, strengthen your habits, feed your soul, read the books, show up early, stay late. Say no when it costs you peace. Say yes when it pulls you forward. Stop waiting for someone to hand you the blueprint. Start becoming the architect of your own life. And don't get it twisted. This isn't about perfection. This is about progression, about discipline. About learning how to pick yourself back up every time life knocks you down. Because it will. People will doubt you. Opportunities will pass you by. You'll make mistakes, take losses, lose time. The way you build inside when you invest in your character, your resilience, your clarity of purpose, that's what allows you to rise again. Every dollar you spend on building your mind, every second you spend building your skills, every hour you carve out to work on your health, your vision, your future, that's not a waste. That's compound interest. You may not see the results today, but one day it all adds up. The knowledge, the habits, the mindset, and one day people will ask you, how did you do it? And you'll remember the nights you stayed in to study, the mornings you woke up when no one was watching, the times you chose growth over comfort, and you'll smile because it wasn't luck, it wasn't magic. You just decided to bet on yourself. That's the power of personal investment. It's not always flashy. It's quiet, it's steady, it's deliberate. You're laying bricks, not castles. You're building a foundation that no one can shake. Because when you work on yourself, no one can take that from you. They can take the title, they can take the position, they can take the applause, but they can't take your mindset, they can't take your growth, they can't take what you built from the inside out. We live in a world that constantly tells us who we should be, what we should look like, how far we should be by now. Social media, television, conversations with people who barely know your story. Everywhere you turn, there's noise. And if you're not careful, that noise becomes a soundtrack in your mind. One that drowns out your own voice, your own truth. That's why you have to make a conscious decision every single day to silence the noise of comparison. Comparison is a thief. It steals joy, it steals clarity, and worst of all, it steals time. Time you could be using to focus on your own growth, your own path, your own vision. Instead, you're caught up measuring your chapter 2 against someone else's chapter 20. You see their wins, their shine, their perfect moments. But you don't see their struggle, their nights of doubt, their internal battles. You're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel, and then wondering why you feel like you're falling behind. You are not behind, you're on a different road. The truth is, when you start chasing someone else's life, you lose touch with your own. You abandon your own blueprint. You trade authenticity for imitation, and that never ends well. Because no matter how hard you try, you can't win trying to be someone else. You weren't designed for their path. You were built for yours. Your journey may not look flashy right now. It may be quiet, slow, messy, but that doesn't make it less valuable. That doesn't make it less meaningful. You've got to learn how to disconnect from the noise, to pull back from the comparison trap and ask yourself, what am I building? What am I becoming? What matters to me? When you focus on those questions, you begin to operate from a place of purpose, not pressure. From alignment, not anxiety. Silencing the noise of comparison doesn't mean you stop observing the world. It means you stop using it as a ruler for your worth. You can celebrate others without questioning yourself. You can admire without envy. But above all, you have to remember that what makes you different is what makes you powerful. No one else has your combination of experiences, talents, flaws, resilience, and voice. That's your edge. That's your magic. But you won't hear it if you're too busy trying to echo someone else. Sometimes you have to step back, turn off the feed, get quiet with yourself, and listen. Because your intuition, your vision, your calling, they don't shout, they whisper. And you can't hear whispers through the noise. When you finally shut out the distractions, you'll realize that your biggest breakthroughs come when you're fully present with your own process. Not when you're looking sideways, not when you're trying to keep up, but when you're locked in, fully tuned in to what's yours to build, to learn, to become. There is a silent pressure that weighs heavy on so many people's shoulders. The pressure to keep up, to hit milestones by a certain age, to match someone else's timeline, to move faster, achieve more, and make it all look effortless. But the truth is, that pressure doesn't come from your purpose. It comes from comparison, from fear, from a culture that glorifies speed over depth. And that's why it's so important to remind yourself, this is your journey and it unfolds at your pace. Life is not a race. There is no universal clock that says you're late. No scoreboard that defines your worth by how many achievements you've unlocked before 30 or 40 or 50. Progress is not always loud. Growth doesn't always look impressive from the outside. Sometimes real evolution happens quietly, over time, without applause, without anyone noticing but you. When you start respecting your own pace, you stop living in reaction to other people's timelines. You stop questioning yourself every time someone else gets a promotion, buys a house, starts a family, or becomes a success story in the eyes of the world. You learn to celebrate them without questioning you, because their path isn't yours. Their lessons aren't your lessons. Their timing isn't your timing. Your journey is personal. It's shaped by your scars, your dreams, your doubts, your values. There are things you had to overcome that no one saw. There were seasons where just getting out of bed was an act of strength. You've carried burdens no one else could carry. That alone makes your progress sacred. Even if it doesn't look like much on the outside, the fact that you're still standing, still moving, still trying, that matters. There will be days when it feels like you're not moving fast enough, when others seem 10 steps ahead, when your timeline feels off. But that's when you have to breathe, slow down, and ask yourself, what's the rush? Who am I trying to impress? What am I actually building? Because rushing to the finish line without understanding why you're even running, that's how people burn out. That's how they end up with success that doesn't feel fulfilling. Real growth respects process. It's built in stages. And sometimes the most meaningful part of the journey is the middle, the messy part, the uncertain part, the part where nothing is clear but everything is being built beneath the surface. Just because it's not visible doesn't mean it's not valuable. Just because it's not fast doesn't mean it's not right. Let other people sprint. Let them flash their timelines. Let them post their wins. But you, stay grounded in your own lane. Trust your process. Walk when you need to walk. Run when it's time to run. Rest when your soul says rest. You're not falling behind. You're just choosing to honor the rhythm of your own becoming. Everyone wants the reward, but not everyone is willing to pay the price. Everyone talks about success dreams and leveling up, but the truth that most people avoid is this. You don't get greatness without discipline. Not once, not ever. Discipline is the gatekeeper. It's the line between wanting something and becoming someone. It's the force that decides who rises and who stays stuck. Discipline is not about motivation. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the weather. You can't build your future on how you feel today. You can't trust your moves to carry you through adversity. Discipline doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if it's convenient. It doesn't ask if you're in the mood. Discipline shows up regardless. It's cold, it's consistent, and it's the backbone of every great achievement ever made. You don't become excellent by accident. You become excellent by making the hard choices repeatedly, by waking up early when you'd rather sleep, by showing up when no one's watching, by doing the reps, reading the pages, refining the craft, holding the line. Discipline is in the decision to say no to distraction, no to excuses, no to shortcuts, and yes to the uncomfortable work that greatness requires. People will say, "You're so lucky," when they see you winning. What they won't see are the nights you stayed in grinding while everyone else went out. They won't see the sacrifices, the self-control, the delayed gratification. They'll see the result, but not the routine. But you'll know. You'll know what it cost. And because of that, you'll own it with a different kind of pride. The kind of pride that only comes from knowing you built it brick by brick. Discipline is about mastering yourself, your impulses, your habits, your focus. Without that, talent is wasted. Potential is just theory. Every day you have two choices, discipline or regret. One builds you, the other breaks you. And sometimes the difference is made in moments so small no one else notices, but those moments stack, they compound. Over time, they become your edge. Greatness isn't about being the most talented. It's about being the most committed, the one who sticks it out. The one who keeps going when others quit. Discipline makes you dependable to your own dreams. It's the promise you keep with yourself when things get hard. And they will get hard. The process will test you. But that's where discipline becomes your armor. It's not always glamorous. It's repetitive. It's lonely at times, it's a grind, but buried in the grind is the gold. Buried in the early mornings and late nights is the version of you that can't be shaken. Not by failure, not by opinion. Discipline is what keeps you moving forward when everything else tells you to stop. It doesn't just build the dream, it builds you into the kind of person who can hold it. When it comes, your energy is one of the most valuable resources you have. It fuels your decisions, your relationships, your creativity, your ability to focus, and your capacity to grow. Yet too often, people give it away carelessly, to drama, to distractions, to people who drain more than they give. And they wonder why they feel depleted, anxious, lost. The truth is simple. If you don't protect your energy, someone else will use it for their agenda. You wouldn't leave your bank account wide open for the world to access. You wouldn't hand your car keys to a stranger and let them drive your life wherever they pleased. So why do so many people allow outside forces to hijack their energy every day? If your peace, your clarity, your focus, if your life matters to you, then protecting your energy has to become non-negotiable. That means setting boundaries without guilt. It means saying no to things that no longer serve you, even when it's uncomfortable. It means recognizing when certain environments, conversations, or habits are slowly draining you, because not all storms come to destroy. Some come to distract, some come looking like harmless habits or familiar people, but they chip away at your focus, your belief, your drive. Protecting your energy is not about isolating yourself. It's about being intentional with what you allow in, who you talk to, what you consume, where you spend your time. Every conversation, every scroll, every commitment, it all comes with a cost. You've got to ask yourself, is this feeding me or draining me? Is this taking me closer to who I want to become? Or is it pulling me back into old patterns? People might not understand it when you start guarding your energy like it's gold. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're distant. They'll take it personally. Let them. Because what they don't see are the battles you're fighting behind the scenes, the mental space you need to heal, the focus you need to build, the peace you need to grow. Not everyone deserves access to your energy, and that's not bitterness, it's wisdom. This world will pull at you in 100 directions if you let it. It will have you spending your best hours on things that don't matter, reacting to things that don't align, and carrying weight that was never yours to hold. But when you protect your energy, you move with clarity. You show up with intention. You don't just react, you respond. You create space to think, to breathe, to create, to build. You reclaim your power, piece by piece, by refusing to let the world drain it from you. Your energy is the fuel behind your purpose, your passion, your progress. Once it's gone, so is your momentum. So is your clarity. So is your fire. That's why it's not just important, it's essential to guard it with everything you've got. There will come a moment when the life you've been living no longer fits who you are becoming. You'll feel the tension. You'll hear the inner voice whispering, there's more for you. That's not weakness. That's not confusion. That's the calling to evolve. That's the signal that it's time to reinvent. Reinvention is not failure. It's not starting over because you lost. It's choosing to rise because you've outgrown who you were. And there is power in that choice. Because the ability to look at your life, your habits, your mindset, your direction, and say this no longer serves me takes courage most people never tap into. Too many people stay stuck because they're afraid to let go of the version of themselves that the world got used to. They hold on to an identity built on survival, on expectations, on the past. But reinvention requires a level of honesty that cuts deep. It requires looking at everything you've built and being willing to break it down if it's no longer aligned. It's the process of burning away what's safe so you can step into what's true. That's the difference between staying comfortable and becoming powerful. Reinvention doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for perfect timing. It begins the moment you decide that who you've been is not all you're meant to be. Maybe it's a shift in career. Maybe it's ending a relationship. Maybe it's changing your mindset from one of fear to one of faith. Whatever it is, it's not about erasing the past. It's about rewriting the future. It's not an overnight change. Reinvention is a process. It's messy. It's vulnerable. It requires letting go of certainty and stepping into the unknown. But on the other side of that unknown is a version of you that you've never met before. A stronger, wiser, more aligned version that couldn't exist without that breaking point. Some people will try to keep you in your old story. They'll remind you of who you used to be. They'll project their limitations onto your transformation, but that's not your concern. Your power lies in your willingness to evolve, even if no one claps for it, even if no one understands it. Reinvention doesn't mean pretending the past didn't happen. It means choosing to build forward with intention. It's when you stop living by default and start living by design. You get to decide what's next. You get to shift your mindset, your identity, your path. You get to say, this chapter served me, but I'm ready for more. That's not weakness. That's mastery. It takes grit to walk away from comfort. It takes fire to become someone new. It takes relentless vision to believe in a future that doesn't yet exist. Reinvention is not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more of who you were meant to be. Every ending is a doorway. Every shift is a chance. Every version of you that didn't quit laid the foundation for the one that's about to rise, certainly. Here's a powerful conclusion that ties together the entire message from your speech, incorporating all 6 core ideas: self-investment, silencing comparison, honoring your pace, embracing discipline, protecting energy, and choosing reinvention in a bold, unifying, and motivational tone. At the end of the day, everything you want, your growth, your peace, your power, it all begins with one decision: to focus on yourself, not selfishly, but intentionally. Because when you make yourself the priority, everything else in your life starts to align. You stop chasing and you start building. You stop comparing and you start creating. You stop surviving and you start rising. This isn't about perfection. It's about ownership, about taking full responsibility for who you are and who you're becoming. It's about mastering your discipline, guarding your energy, trusting your timing, and having the courage to reinvent yourself again and again until the life you're living reflects the greatness inside of you. Focus is power. And when that focus is directed inward toward your own growth, your own path, your own truth, there is nothing you can't become. Stay locked in, stay grounded, stay committed. Because the most powerful thing you will ever do is become everything you were meant to by focusing entirely on who you are right now.